Hi, I'm going to quickly demonstrate to you how we're going to integrate our NTG Expert SDK with your existing Unity application. So the first step is always to register your application with our game portal, right? The NTG Expert portal. So that will be issuing you the unique game ID and also the game key, so that it will be part of your code for the SDK integration later. And the second step is always to download your SDK files. So after you download it, unzip it, you'll be able to see a list of them. So basically there is 4 different corresponding CPU architecture, and this is the unique one, the TP2 jar. Basically is the main library that you're going to import. So the application that we're going to demonstrate it with is a very simple app that you use to send a message to a server or the other client. So once I open it, it's basically made with Unity. So it's just a very simple app. If you have multiple of them and a server set up, it will be send a message via UDP, for example, hello world, etc. So basically this app will be integrated with the SDK, and then later, once I launch it using the emulator, it's considered one type of the cheat. So it will be detected and show it on the portals over here. Right, so it will be shown here later to see that okay, the cheat type is simulator and OpenID will be different. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you that basically this is the app that I created using the Unity Hub, and basically the last step is to publish it, right? So before you publish it, you always have to select the platform they're going to publish. So over here I'm going to select Android, and I'm going to export it as a project. And over here, one small tips over here, make sure that you select these 2 CPU architectures, since I'm going to only test it on the emulator. So after you export the game into a folder, then you open it with the Android Studio or Eclipse, it's on your choice, so that you're going to see a list of them. And what you have to do is to import all the SDK file that you just downloaded as a library, and also you have to add this one as a library because later you're going to import it. So for example, I'm going to have this imported. And then you have to make sure that under your JNN libs, because for this particular JR file, it's going to basically query and going to use all those like the source files over here, right, under different CPU architecture based on the architecture of the platform they're going to build on. So you have to make sure that all the lib that's saved to the source file is under the corresponding or individual file folders over here. So after these 2 critical steps of the module or library import is done, and then now you can start manipulating your code. So the code integration for the SDK is relatively simple for the simplest setup over here. So first of all, you have to import it, and then under the uncreate activity, what you should do is to add these 2 liners, right? So basically this is for demonstrative purpose. What I have done is just simply to initiate it and also pass my own user information, or we call it user login. So over here, this is the game ID and also the game key that I issue to you, that can see it from the portals over here. You have to make sure that you pass the correct game ID and also the game keys over here. And then over here, right, it's up to you, right? You can basically query the different OpenID, for example, the DB that you created, or over here I just manually hard code it. For example, for the demonstrative purpose, I'm going to put it as, for example, 9929999. Right, so later after I compile it and run it, later, once the SDK is triggered, I'm going to see the incident that's labeled with this particular OpenID show up on the portal. So what I'm going to do now is to build it and compile it into the APK, and I'm going to clean the environment as well. I'm going to delete the old one and install it. So after a while, yeah, the APK build is done. I'm going to locate it and I'm going to launch it. Right, since I'm using the emulator to launch the application that's already integrated with our NTG Expert SDK, so that it will be detected, right? And the cheat type is simulator, right? So here I'm going going to run the application that is already integrated with our SDK, and on the portal over here, right, so I'm going to do the data query. So these are all the list of the activities that I had earlier using a different OpenID. And now, if I were to do a refresh, it will probably take some time. It's over here. Right, so the OpenID I just said, which is 929999. The cheat type is simulator, and action over here, right, instead of using a detection, you can also block it, or you can like force the application to quit. And also the details of it, because I'm using this emulator called Wang Yi, or net is 99, right, so everything is detected. Of course, other than the cheat type simulator, it could be other hacking tool that will be detected, but for the simplicity of demonstration, I only set a cheat type as a simulator, and the action of it will be detection only. So that's all for my demonstration. Hope it's helpful. Thank you very much.